Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of our hopes and expectations for Nintendo in 2019. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Bittner and John Cartwright to discuss the 3DS, Nintendo Mobile, third-party games for Nintendo Switch, and everything else about Nintendo's first-party lineup in 2019 that we don't yet know about for sure. So let's get to it, and I want to start off real quick with the Nintendo 3DS. And I say real quick because there really isn't much to talk about as far as what we know so far. So in terms of first-party games, or first-party published titles, the only ones we know about for sure right now are Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, Kirby's Epic Yarn, which doesn't have a release date yet, and Yokai Watch 3, which also doesn't have a release date. There are also a couple of big third-party titles hitting the system, including Etrian Odyssey Nexus and Persona Q2. So, yeah, what are you guys thinking so far about the 3DS lineup as we know it?
It's not bad, you know. It is 2019, and 3DS has been kicking for a while. It could be worse, is what I was saying.
I mean, it's funny because, I mean, we're getting a 3DS game within a week or so, so it's right. Not too long until we actually will be able to be playing Bowser's Inside Story. But I don't think anybody's really talking about this game. Like, I think there's a low-level interest just because people like the original, but I don't think people are super excited for it. Same for Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn on the 3DS, which makes sense, but really, who's going to be excited for this game? Yokai Watch 3, I think, is probably, of all the games here, probably has the most excitement behind it. Maybe Persona Q2 for those Persona fans, but yeah, I mean, we're basically seeing the dying gasps of the 3DS.
Yeah, Yokai Watch 3 I think is the most exciting because it's the only truly new game here of the first party lineup, because the other two are just ports of old games. Mario & Luigi's an upgraded DS port, and the Kirby's Epic Yarn was on Wii originally. So, yeah, there's not too much to be excited for here, especially if you played those games before. So the real question is, how much more do you think might be coming that we don't know about the Nintendo 3DS? Because Nintendo did say before that they plan to support the system through 2019 and beyond. So, do you think they're going to hold true to that?
I do. I think it's going to be the same kind of software. So, like, look at Kirby's Epic Yarn. I think we're going to get games like that. So, maybe Wii ports, maybe GameCube ports, maybe even N64 ports, just sort of touched up to look a bit more modernized. So, yeah, for a while I've been saying games like Paper Mario or Golden Sun might come to 3DS. And I think that's what's going to happen. So, like, no new games, but sort of touched up older ones.
I don't even know if it can do that, because here's the problem with that, John. That actually sounds exciting, but also, but it also sounds. The problem with that also is that I'd still rather see those on the Switch.
That is true. Like when you're making a 3DS game, the budget is going to be significantly lower.
That's true.
So if you say to Nintendo, like, remake Golden Sun for the Switch, that's going to cost a lot of money. Remaking for 3DS though, you can still do sprites. You can still make cheaper environments, and I think that might be enough for them.
Maybe. Like, for example, we could see another Fire Emblem remake. Like, Fire Emblem 4 is a perfect candidate for that sort of thing. Although I don't know if that would get in the way of Fire Emblem 3 Houses, or it's just cheap enough and easy enough that they could do that. It's hard to say. But for the most part, I'm just of the opinion that 3DS is just not going to get a lot of support. Like, we'll see maybe a game every 3 months.
Yeah, I feel like this might be perhaps like the kind of true final year. Like, I think we'll continue to see support for the 3DS for potentially a long time from third parties at least. But it does feel like it's winding down. But I have said that before, and I've been wrong before, so we'll see. But I really don't expect any more 64 ports, because I feel like if we see any more ports, it'll be in the vein of Kirby's Epic Yarn, where it's taking existing assets and downgrading them for the platform,
right.
or retaining them at the least, retaining or downgrading them. That way, we don't have to make too many new assets for the platform. So, although I would love to see 64 ports of any form, but I would prefer they go to the Switch.
Yeah, I also think if the game already has a 3DS iteration, that makes it a bit more likely to get a port. So I've been saying Paper Mario for a while because Sticker Star has all those Paper Mario assets. And they could use that engine and those assets to make a 1000 Year Door remake, which would make a lot of people upset, but they could very well do it.
Oh, man.
I mean, they could, but there's also, man, John, they have to make all those new assets for those characters that, those original characters. So there's a ton of original characters they need to make assets for that they do not have in Sticker Star.
They got a folder of Toads, they got a folder of Mario, they got no folders for original characters.
Exactly.
That's true. So, I don't know, it'll be interesting. I do think there are more games coming for 3DS from Nintendo at least, and definitely third parties. But yeah, I'm not expecting anything too exciting, but hey, maybe they'll surprise us, so
Yeah, I do feel bad to not be excited for Bowser's Inside Story though, because that's my favourite game in the Mario & Luigi series, but I have no excitement for this remake for some reason.
It was a great game, but I feel like, I mean, I've been saying this for a while now too, but I just have Mario & Luigi fatigue. It feels like there's just way too many of these games, way too often, and now they're remaking them all, it seems.
That's sort of the point though, because you can play them on the system. Like, what's the point of remaking them? Because it's not like they're changing things that didn't work in the past. These are graphical remakes. There's not much that's really changed gameplay-wise.
I think I actually prefer the look of the original game too, instead of this pseudo 3D look of the newer ones.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think it's more evident with Superstar Saga, because that game had a very distinct look on GBA. But yeah, there's a much softer look to the modern games. And I kind of prefer, like, just the more out there look of the original games. I've seen a lot of comparisons between Bowser's Inside Story on DS and 3DS. And yeah, they do look different, but 3DS is almost, clean to a sterile point, where it doesn't look like there's much edge to this game. I'm not a big fan of it, and I'm not a big fan of the side mode either. Like, Bowser Jr.'s Journey, it's the same as Bowser's Minions from Superstar Saga, and that's just such a throwaway mode. Like, it could be exciting, they're expanding the story, but they're doing so with just such brain-dead gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, if even that, there seems to be almost no gameplay there. I really do love the concept of, expanding the story, showing what these other characters are doing, while Mario and Luigi are having their adventure, but yeah, they're just doing it in the least exciting way possible. They just made a smaller, brand new area, throw in a couple of new enemies, maybe, or characters, and maybe make it just a few hour adventure, and that'd be really fun. But what they have here doesn't entice me at all to return to this game. I mean, the gameplay itself for the main game could. I love Bowser's Inside Story, but yeah, it's the addition. I don't even know why they bother with it.
It's new.
Is that really gonna sell extra copies?
I don't think so, because I love the story content that you got out of Bowser's Minions, and there's some fun stuff in there, and nice nods to the future of the series, and more Fawful, which is always good. But the gameplay just was a slog to get through, and it's it just got boring. There's maybe some strategy involved with when you tap things, but it's basically a mobile game, and boy did I check out.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think Bowser Jr.'s Journey adds any value to this game. I don't think anyone watched the trailer for this and was like, oh, I don't want a remake, and then they see Bowser Jr.'s Journey and go, oh, I'm in. I don't think that person exists.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So do you guys expect any more 3DS game announcements soon then? Perhaps in the January Direct? Or do you think it'll be not until perhaps E3 that we find out more about what games will be coming later in the year?
Well, we still need a date for Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, so we're going to have some 3DS information with that. But as for new games, I do expect at least one more port or remake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we'll get dates for Kirby and Yokai Watch, and maybe another game like John said. I couldn't tell you what that game is, but we'll probably get another one.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of an easy port that they could do.
It doesn't even have to be easy. WarioWare Gold, that's kind of technically a port. It uses a lot of old ideas, but it wasn't an easy port. That was almost a new game. It just reuses a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they remade every one of those games, so yeah, pretty neat. So I wouldn't mind more games in that style, perhaps, but yeah, we'll see. Well, let's move on to another mobile platform that Nintendo will be supporting in 2019, allegedly, being phones, iOS and Android, because there's at least one other game we know about coming from Nintendo this year, as they recently reconfirmed a few months ago, and that's Mario Kart Tour. It's supposed to be hitting both platforms by the end of March, but we've heard literally nothing about this game in terms of gameplay or really anything. So my question to you guys is, do you think it's coming by March? And what form is this game going to take?
It's definitely coming by March. I have no freaking clue what form it's going to take. I couldn't even get close to telling you what they'll actually do with this one, because you think you could say just normal Mario Kart gameplay just on your phone, but I think Nintendo will go a little bit farther than that. But then you're like, okay, how would they change it up? And I couldn't tell you.
I think I agree with you. It probably is definitely coming by March. I know that sounds crazy because we haven't seen this game at all, but that's kind of true for a lot of their mobile games. We don't really know about them much until they're pretty much in our hands. I do think it's coming in March, but yeah, as for what kind of game it will be, who knows? Most Nintendo mobile games still stay pretty true to the form of the original game. Like Fire Emblem Heroes plays like Fire Emblem, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp plays like Animal Crossing. But they all have a unique twist to them, though. And it's hard to imagine what that could be for Mario Kart.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll lean into the parts model from Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart 8, where you can unlock additional parts in this game, or in this case, you would, buy them using in-game currency. And maybe it's to the point where you can upgrade individual parts as well, so your cart starts really slow and crappy, and you can upgrade it eventually to make it something worth competing with. Because I'm trying to think, what kind of hook can they use to make it keep coming back beyond, the inherent Mario Kart gameplay, which is fun, but Nintendo doesn't want to eat into the core Mario Kart series either. They can make a really great Mario Kart mobile game, but then why bother buying it on Switch if it's just as good on mobile, right? So it has to have something, some kind of weird, limitation, I suppose, or something here that makes it different and distinct from the others. And I also wonder how they can bring in multiplayer. Mario Kart is really largely about the multiplayer experience. Are they going to lean into that with this version, or will they focus on it being single player? Will you be able to play local multiplayer with people, or will it be online only? Will it maybe be a weird, asynchronous multiplayer system where you don't have to actively play at the same time against your friends? You can, more passively race using your players or team of players against others? How's that gonna work?
That might not be a bad idea. They can make console Mario Kart distinct by focusing on multiplayer for Mario Kart 8. But with a mobile game, they could have a mission mode, or have daily missions that you have to do, or as you said, compete against your friends, but not in real time.
Right.
I'm not even sure how they'll do that. I guess with ghosts, or maybe just trying to beat their scores on missions or something like that.
Perhaps. I've been sitting here thinking, what could the tour aspect of the title tie into, that's the key thing here, is the tour has to mean something. What is the tour part of Mario Kart? And all it does for me is that the car drives itself while you do other things. And boy, would that be an unexciting Mario Kart.
Yeah, I don't like the sound of that.
No. I am really baffled by this one. I'm really curious to see how they make this work. How true to the original it's going to be. I guess, if you look at Mario Run, that kind of is the essence of New Super Mario Bros. U, or any of the New Super Mario Bros. Games. Just, with the limitation that your character is running all the time. So in that sense, it really is quite close to the original games, or surprisingly close to a mobile game. So maybe they could go something that route. I mean, I guess they already had auto accelerate in the Wii U version, or Switch version, and Wii U, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe a top-down perspective. What else can they do to switch it up? Maybe RC races, RC race cars, where you go around real-world inspired locations, hence the tour moniker.
If they make a Mario Kart version of RC Pro-Am, I'm there.
There's kind of a comparison for this. There's Mario Kart Arcade. You can play that machine, and that doesn't replace Mario Kart 8 because they play quite differently. So what if the mobile game had gimped power sliding, or there's just a different feel to it from traditional Mario Kart. When I play Mario Kart Arcade, you can just feel that the driving doesn't feel the same. This is a very different take on Mario Kart.
It does.
So what if they went that route and just sort of made a new kind of style of Mario Kart?
I'm almost picturing a Temple Run style game where you're on, there's different tracks basically you can maneuver to, but adding, layering on items on top of that in the part upgrade system, perhaps.
That's a good idea, but I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's a hard sell because you still want it to be fun, and give the feel of Mario Kart. But it's hard to do that without undermining the core Mario Karts.
I feel like there might be potential there, almost like a Mario Kart slot cars type thing, but where you have to time your power slides in order to get the boost as you come out of it. You still have the weapon system, and maybe they could put a bigger focus on how you use items, with pinpoint accuracy using the touchscreen, where you can tap exactly who you want to target. If you had all the players listed on the side evens, you could have a blue shell where you target the individual player instead of just going automatically to first place. Getting back to the part upgrade system, maybe that could apply to items too. Do you remember how in Diddy Kong Racing, if you grab the same balloon over and over, you would upgrade your items? Maybe they could do something like that here, where you cash in your money perhaps in real time and get better items during the course of the race.
Andre gets evil when he gets into his corporate monetization.
Yeah, he does. I mean, those are cool thoughts for the main game. I can't see them for Mario Kart Tour. I don't know what form it'll take, but those ideas are some of the stuff I would like in the Switch game.
What, slot car racing?
Well, not the slot car racing, but the whole being able to target specifics or upgrading items or stuff like that. This, I'm just imagining basic, unexciting Mario Kart that'll do well with the masses, but I'll be bored with in a week.
I don't know, like, it can't be unexciting. That's the thing. For Mario Kart, it can't be unexciting. So that is making me really curious to see how they pull this off.
Yeah, I guess the fact that we don't know is what makes it so interesting, because it could be anything, and the
really
fact that we
be.
can't come up with a solid idea of what this is, that has me kind of excited.
Yeah, me too, actually. I really want to see this one.
I don't know. I couldn't come up with a solid idea of what they'll do with the Animal Crossing mobile game, and boy, that didn't excite me when it came out, so... You guys have a lot more faith than I do.
I don't know if I describe Animal Crossing inherently as exciting, though. Like, it's not exciting gameplay.
Yeah, but I don't think it's the fans were even that excited. Like, it's not getting as many...
No, they weren't.
It's not earning as much as, like, Fire Emblem Heroes. Because they knew with Fire Emblem Heroes, they knew exactly what to hone in on when it came to that game.
Well, in either case, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not going to hit in March. I think it will be delayed. I think maybe Nintendo's had their own issues figuring this out, perhaps, which are based on nothing. But the fact that we haven't seen anything of it. So I'm going to say it's going to miss March. But I have another question for you guys. Do you think there will be any other mobile games this year? And how many are you expecting, and what do you think they could be from Nintendo? Because this is real quick, because Mario Kart, I believe, is the last of the 5 original partnership games they announced with DNA. So do you think they're going to announce another deal with them to produce more? Do you think Nintendo might work with another company? And what do you think the landscape looks like for Nintendo on mobile in 2019?
The obvious one would be some sort of Legend of Zelda mobile game.
That would be great.
Wasn't a Zelda mobile game already confirmed?
I believe, yeah, I think, was it the Wall Street Journal, I believe, that mentioned they had heard that?
I believe so, and I guess that's the question. Is that DNA, or is that someone else entirely making that?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. So what's Zelda Mobile look like? How does that work?
I imagine something like Dragalia Lost. Get different characters, power them up, do a little short story, have maybe original characters, classic characters, whatever, and go through and fight classic enemies in sort of this top-down view, which is very much akin to the original.
You gotta have dungeons, though, right?
Oh yeah, you can have dungeons as well. So maybe more dungeon-focused than Dragalia.
Maybe they could go like a Four Swords style route where you have like pseudo-random dungeons with different layouts and, similar puzzles, but it's always a little bit different each time.
Yeah, maybe.
And we do have the template for a touch-focused Zelda with Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. So what if they use that exact same control scheme again? Because I have my issues with those games, but that control scheme works.
It wasn't bad, it's true. That could actually work quite well on mobile. Although I would be surprised if they just don't go the route of Dragalia Lost, considering that actually worked pretty well for the platform, having the virtual control stick and whatnot, and having the attacks being just tap the screen. So if that already works, why rock the boat? But having like the item usage would be smart to have on the touchscreen, where actually like draw the path of the boomerang, for instance. But again, that's another game. Like, how do they make that work? Are you just leveling up your characters, or do they dole out items slowly over time to expand your inventory? Are the items dependent on the area you're in, such as they have been in Four Swords, for instance? I think the more I think about Four Swords really is kind of the ideal way of going about this game. You combine that with Dragalia Lost. There you go.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So do you have any other expectations from Nintendo for mobile in 2019 then? Any other games you can possibly think of?
I have one mobile idea, but I don't think Nintendo would ever do it, and that is Punch-Out for mobile.
Oh, wow.
I think Punch-Out is such a simple control scheme, and just swiping left and right worked really well for a mobile game.
That's true.
It probably isn't a big money maker though, which is why they probably won't do it. And I don't know how you monetize it either. I guess like buying access to more boxes or something. But out of all Nintendo's games, Punch-Out would probably translate to mobile really well.
I can see that happening. And maybe like they could add more fighters as you go along, and the microtransactions come in when you're knocked out, so you can get right back in there or not. I don't know. I always think of the most insidious things when it comes to mobile titles, like how can they drain my money the quickest? Because that's what
the only way Punch-Out would work to me is if it's a self-contained game, like Mario Run was. Like, it can't be an ongoing model, I don't think. It'd have to be like a simple mobile game. Maybe they could bring in like other Nintendo characters too, like bring in like King K. Rool, Incineroar, or any other wrestling, boxing style characters that kind of like expand the scope of Punch-Out.
Or they could do like waifu and husbandu gacha elements. You can actually get other boxers to play as.
They'd have to come up with a lot of different boxers.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Nintendo decides to do in 2019 with mobile. It's worked out pretty well so far for them, but the big question is right now, like, what's Mario Kart going to look like? So I really can't wait to find out. And I'm hoping I'm wrong about it being delayed, because I really want to see this game ASAP. So. Alright, well, with mobile out of the way, let's go ahead onto Nintendo's third mobile platform, again, being the Nintendo Switch. And I want to go over just what we're looking forward to in terms of third-party games. There's quite a few big ones announced for the platform. I don't want to go over them all, but I do want to talk about the ones we're personally excited for, or what we think could be, like, you know, big stories on the Switch. John, I have a feeling I know exactly where you're going to go with this.
Yep. So we have a huge list of third-party games, and I'm only looking at one of them. I'm looking at Resident Evil 4. Oh, I was so excited when this was announced. Derek did a news update, and I was traveling on a train, and I was like, Derek, you got to do this right now. And he's like, you got to send me a picture of your face right now. So in the news video, there's just me looking crazy pretty much the entire time. Yeah, I'm so excited for this, guys.
I am too.
It is just another port of Resident Evil 4, but it could be the best one. It's been a while. I mean, I guess they did PS4 and Xbox One versions, but it's been a while since the Wii edition, which is my personal favourite. And I feel like they can take all the content of that, put it in HD, and still keep the gyro controls to add, like, a motion element.
Right.
This really could be the definitive version, and it's the first portable version, too. And I've seen people on Twitter say, like, they're going to pick this up as their first time playing Resident Evil 4, just because they keep going on about it. So I can't wait to see, like, new people play this game as well.
That is awesome. That's exciting. Yeah, I mean, anyone who hasn't played Resident Evil 4 owes it to themselves to play this game, because it is fantastic. It still holds up. And I am curious, like, I am looking forward to seeing it. I mean, I can't wait for it to be on Switch. And I am curious to see how they translate some of those elements from, like, the Wii version, for instance. Because that is one thing I'm maybe a little bit concerned about, is they'll be able to replicate the core GameCube control style fine, especially with a GameCube adapter. Like, that should be great in the original GameCube experience. So that's awesome. The thing that concerns me a little bit is the motion control aiming, which a lot of people prefer to the GameCube controller, because on the Wii, that used the sensor bar, and that provided that, you know, that definitive, pixel accurate, you know, aiming, whereas on the Switch, it doesn't quite have that. The pointer is motion-based or gyro-based, meaning it loses accuracy over time. Then you can reset the cursor to kind of fix that, but I wonder if that might, you know, make it not quite as fun to play in that style, or they might have an alternate means of controlling the game instead. Do you have any thoughts about that, John, or...?
Well, we do have Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 on Switch, and both of those already have gyro controls, so I would imagine it'd be similar to that. So basically how they work is gyro only kicks in when you're aiming, so kind of like Breath of the Wild, where there's not always a cursor on the screen, and whenever you hold down the trigger button, all of a sudden you can move the controller around. So there's no like circle cursor like the Wii version. You're still using laser pointing, but you can just move it around as you want. Yeah, but the thing with that is, I feel like the cursor was kind of needed for the Wii version. The laser pointer is, I guess, a little tricky to move around with gyro, or with motion controls. You kind of need something a bit more distinct, maybe. So I don't know if they're going to address that, or whether they're just going to keep the standard laser pointer. But it'll be interesting to see, because we've never had that with Resident Evil 4. Like, every single time there's been motion controls, they've replaced the laser.
I'm not sure what they'll do for the pointer controls, because I'll be honest, The World Ends With You soured me on the idea of motion controls solely as a aiming mechanism, because it just desynced so often. So that makes me a little nervous about Resident Evil 4, but considering the first time I played this game was on GameCube and it's just fine and just as fun to play, yeah, it might not be the ideal like the Wii version is, but you'll still have a good time no matter what with just regular controls. And who knows, maybe it'll be a Doom or Splatoon situation where you can kind of use the Pro Controller in a way and have those tilt controls to sort of fine-tune your aiming, which would still be a lot of fun. But speaking of Doom, I think what is most exciting, not necessarily because I'm not sure what system I'm going to pick it up for, but the fact that we finally have a game that's coming out on all systems on the same day with Doom Eternal, that's exciting. Plus Mortal Kombat 11, like the fact that 2019 is the year where, yes, we're getting ports, but they're ports of the games that are also coming out on the same day as the other systems. That's huge to me. So the fact that Mortal Kombat 11, Crash Team Racing, Doom Eternal, all coming out same day as other systems, that's big to me.
Yeah, I mean, calling it a port is doing it a disservice, really, because it's a same day release. So that is big news. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, and as a shotgun with a grapple hook, so that's really all you need.
You can never go wrong with that, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't see Resident Evil 4 having that, John. What's your excuse?
I don't have one.
Ada has a grappling hook, doesn't she?
It's not on a shotgun, though.
Oh, that's true. You're right. That's a good point. Shotgun is essential.
But yeah, Doom Eternal does look really good, though. I love Doom 2016, and the Switch port is really impressive. Like, it does go quite low quality at times, but it still looks beautiful. Mm-hmm. The arcade gameplay of Doom translates so well. They've taken elements that worked in old school shooters and kind of modernized them. And Eternal just looks to build upon that. So yeah, Doom Eternal is one of my most anticipated third-party games as well, and I think I will go the Switch route with this one, because the gyro controls in the Switch port of the first game actually complement it really well.
I'm not sure, because I have the original Doom on PS4, so I might just go with that as well, but it's hard to say just off the top of my head. Mortal Kombat 11, don't know if I'll get that on Switch either. I don't even know if I'll get that in general. It's honestly best for Mortal Kombat releases or anything from NetherRealm Studios. Just wait until the expanded edition comes out, because that way you get all the content and you don't have to worry about DLC and all that. It just works that way. Crash Team Racing, though, that's one I might get on Switch, depending on... I'd have to look at what my friends are getting it on, because... boy, that having online racing for that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good time for kart races. We've got Sonic Team Racing and Crash Team Racing. Oh, sorry, Team Sonic Racing and Crash Team Racing around the same time.
And Mario Kart Tour.
And Mario Kart Tour. Yeah, it's just the year of kart races.
That's right.
So yeah, I'm not sure what platform to get this on either. And I guess we've got to see what the Switch version looks like a bit more. Because the Insane Trilogy looked good on Switch to me. Mm-hmm. And if it looks like that, then I'm probably going to go the Switch route. Switch is just kind of my multiplayer console at the moment, mostly because of how accessible it is just to get more controllers involved. During New Year's, we were just playing Smash Ultimate, and my friend only had 2 controllers, so the rest of us just played with split Joy-Con. And to be able to do that with Crash Team Racing just sounds like a great time, so I might go the Switch route with that, and it's just very cool that it's coming on the same day as well.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be another strong year for third-party support. With having these same day release titles is exciting. Kind of validates the Switch more as a real, actual current generation console. So, is there anything else though you guys would like to see, or you hope is announced this year in terms of third-party support for Switch?
I think there's a big one that's been talked about a lot, and that's Persona 5. It's more or less locked in that it's coming. I mean, Joker's coming to Smash.
I think for sure, yeah.
Why else would it not? I can't think why it wouldn't be coming.
Exactly.
There's fewer reasons that's for why it would not come to Switch. So I do think Persona 5 will come, and I don't think it'll be alone. I think, because Persona's never really been on Nintendo platforms apart from Q and Q2, what if you bring like 3, 4, and 5?
That'd be amazing. That'd be utterly amazing. I'm hoping for it. I don't want to get my hopes up too much for it, but considering that Square Enix is releasing a ton of classic Final Fantasies on the system, and who knows what the range is going to be for those releases, but the fact we're getting 7, 9, 10, 10-2, 12, and Crystal Chronicles this year on the Switch, plus the Chocobo Mystery Dungeon, I guess it's just screw it, put it on there, get people to buy it,
Yeah, saying that makes me think that we're getting more Dragon Quests this year. I mean, we know Builders 2 and 11S, but what if they port Dragon Quest 8? What if they port the iOS ports of the original Dragon Quest games?
Oh man,
it feels like Square are just putting everything out there at the moment, and they even have their own Switch division. So one of my predictions here is just they're going to go out all out with Dragon Quest as well as Final Fantasy this year.
I could see that. I would love that, honestly, just to make Switch an RPG machine. Yes, please do it.
I mean, it is like look at all these games we're getting this year that are RPGs. We're getting Tales of Vesperia, we're getting Dragon Quest 11S, we're getting Final Fantasy 7, 9. There's so many RPGs coming. Like even Grandia 2 is coming. If you're an RPG fan, you're already sorted for the year. There's so much for you to play right now. Probably too much for you to play.
Yeah.
I can't wait for all of these.
But let's hope Atlas is a little smarter than Konami, because they got Simon and Richter in Smash, but they decided not to release any kind of Castlevania game on the Switch. So, come on. I don't know if this is a prediction, but I hope some sort of Castlevania game comes to the Switch. I don't care if it's old or new, something Castlevania.
Castlevania 64.
Perfect. I'll take it.
I do think you're right, though. Konami have built out the Castlevania brand a lot. Their Netflix series is very popular. They've got a 3rd season. There's so much going on for Castlevania at the moment, apart from games. So you'd think they got something up being prepared. As for another third party, I kind of feel like it's time for a new Rayman game. Ooh. Legends was 5 years ago? 6 years ago? It's been a while since Legends. Jeez. It feels like Ubisoft made this UbiArt engine and didn't really use it much. So I'd think that maybe Ubisoft would have another Rayman game on the way, especially as Rayman was in Smash Ultimate as a spirit.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time for him to go to space.
The only problem with that is I wonder if Michael Ansel was not at the head, because usually he does handle the Rayman games, and he's currently working on the
Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Beyond Good and Evil 2, yeah.
I think he's also working on a game called Wild as well, so he's a busy man.
Like he is, indeed. Well, you never know. They could hand off to a different team, perhaps. So
that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll get Raving Rabbids back again.
You never know. Anybody that is even the slightest bit interested in Dragon Quest, pick up 11S.
I'm in, Derek. I didn't pick up 11 on PS4, mostly due to poor timing, but I am in for Switch.
Nice. It looks good. I'm shocked how good it looks on the Switch.
Yeah, they released a trailer with some screenshots not long ago, and it holds up. They've downgraded the textures a bit, but it still looks really good. And that's really surprising, because it's a beautiful PlayStation 4 game. It's on Switch with not many compromises. Unless you're comparing them head-to-head, I probably couldn't tell you it's the Switch version.
That's pretty impressive, yeah.
Certainly runs a lot better than Dragon Quest Heroes 2 when the Switch launched.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Alright, so let's go and move on to other things involving Nintendo Switch that's not directly about the upcoming games themselves, or at least not quite yet. We'll have more game talk soon. But for now, I want to touch on DLC as it applies to Smash Brothers, because we know of one character so far, being of course Joker, but there are 4 more characters coming, most of which are happening in 2019, presumably, with the last one, or with them all hitting by February of 2020. So what are we kind of expecting from this? Do you have any other hopes for DLC characters, and what kind of timetable are you thinking for these things?
Well, I think when we initially made our predictions for DLC, we went really safe, because we thought Nintendo were going to go safe themselves, because there was the news that Nintendo basically were handling the DLC, so we just thought, it's just going to be Nintendo characters. I don't think that anymore after Joker. I do think we might get 1 or 2 modern Nintendo characters, maybe a Fire Emblem character or a Pokemon Gen 8 character. But I think the rest of them will probably be third-party characters.
I still don't think it'll be a Pokemon Gen 8. I just don't see that happening. I do think Fire Emblem has a decent chance. I really hope that Rex and Pyra have a good chance. That's the one I'm hoping for the most as far as the Nintendo stable. I think they deserve a slot, especially with how well it did. Plus, I want to see a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 stage and all that. But to be honest, this might be our best shot to get Banjo-Kazooie.
I'm still holding out hope for that. Again, Nintendo and Microsoft have had nearly an unprecedented relationship these past couple of years, or past few years, and I think it might be amounting to something. So that would be such a killer get. And I think that would also go, it doesn't quite tie into our Nintendo predictions, but if that happens, I've said before, I think it would happen alongside a brand new Banjo-Kazooie game. And I think Microsoft might be working on a true, proper Banjo-Kazooie 3 or something. So that to me would be the ultimate 1-2 punch. Banjo-Kazooie in Smash, Banjo-Kazooie 3 or Banjo 3 happening on Xbox, whatever. Whatever Xbox is happening at that point, so...
Yeah, Microsoft have never been more on the table than they are now. Any Microsoft character, I think, is fair game in Smash. Their relationship seems so solid. Yeah. And there's even rumors going around about Super Lucky's Tale coming to Switch, which is a Microsoft-owned IP. That's just a rumor, but it could come into fruition, and I don't doubt it one bit. I think this is very plausible. And I wouldn't even, turn my head at Master Chief being in Smash. I think that could happen.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I'd be happy with either Banjo-Kazooie and Master Chief. Although I think I go back and forth with which I prefer more. I think I probably prefer Banjo-Kazooie, but I'll take either. Yeah. Either would be amazing to see.
They'd be utterly insane to see. Although I do feel like the wind will get knocked out of my sails. It's we got this character between Nintendo and Microsoft coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and it's Steve.
Yep, that's always a possibility.
Yeah, if you look at the best-selling games ever, I think Tetris is number 1, and I think Minecraft is number 2. So Steve is, he's an icon. He's to a generation. He's basically what they grew up with. I think Steve's possible.
But he's very memorable as a character. Well. It's the world of Minecraft that's the character.
Right. No one plays Minecraft for Steve. Exactly. I'm sure there's one person out there who plays it for Steve.
I am perfectly okay with an assist trophy for the Creeper. That's perfect. Yeah. But no Steve.
Yeah. Although I do think a Minecraft stage could be interesting. That could have a neat visual style and a gameplay element with the stage being built in real time, in different forts, and they could, when it turns to night, you'd have to watch out for the creepers and other enemies. So
That'd be like you can like burrow into the stage as well. Like you can break blocks.
Dig your way through. Oh man! All right, I kind of love this idea now. Oh, that'd be fun.
The stage
That'd
is
be neat.
way more interesting for Minecraft than a character.
Totally agreed. Unfortunately, I mean, if we know there's always going to be one character on one stage per pack, right? So it seems like they probably will be a single unit.
Yeah.
But if I get Banjo-Kazooie, I want them to have a stage too. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too upset if we got Banjo-Kazooie as a character and then Minecraft as a stage, but yeah, there would always be something within you like, thinking like, what if we just had a Banjo-Kazooie stage though?
Alright, let's go and move on to something else kind of involving Smash Brothers, but not really. It has Nintendo Switch Online. What do we think that looks like in 2019? Does Nintendo maintain the status quo, keep releasing NES titles ad nauseum, or are they going to switch it up? Are they going to add new content, maybe Super NES titles? Are they going to add any new features to what you can do with Nintendo Switch Online, considering the intense amount of blowback they seem to have received regarding it? What are your hopes and expectations for it?
I don't see any major changes, and if we do get SNES games on this Nintendo Switch Online, I don't expect to see them until June, sometime around E3. A big, like, hey, exciting announcement, Super Nintendo games are coming to the Switch Online. But the other funny thing is, have we gotten our announcement of what our NES games are for the month of January? I don't think so.
I don't believe so. I think that's a surprise as of now.
Maybe it's this month. Surprise, Super Nintendo
That'd be something. That'd be a great way to start the new year, right? Like, what? How awesome would that be? Hey, here's Mario RPG. You can now play it right now.
Perfect.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think they know that their service is lackluster. I think they know they need to do Super Nintendo games. NES games just don't cut it. No one is excited for them. Even the SP ones, the special ones, they're not special. I don't care about them. But I think you can do some exciting Super Nintendo special ones. I think. Like if you have Link to the Past with, I don't know, like maybe like they randomize some of the items or something, or remix it in a way that's exciting.
Yeah,
I think you can
move some of the items around possibly. Or...
Yeah, just do something that's a bit more interesting than save states. I think they can do it, and yeah, Super Nintendo would just make the service so much better.
You know, it'd be amazing. What if they brought over the A Link to the Past or Zelda BS? You know, the satellite service they had for Nintendo Switch Online. Where you could play it an hour at a time. Everyone's playing at the same time, along with I think they had special music and voice tracks that went along with it at the same time. Like, would they translate that for an American audience for the first time ever?
Man,
he's so good.
If we actually got the Saddle of You games, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
That would be incredible. That would completely redeem the games available on the service to me.
And even if they didn't localize it, we can still just go into the Super Famicom version, because you can just get the Japanese version on Nintendo Switch.
Good point. I actually do expect SNES games this year. I don't think they can keep doing NES forever. I mean, they could, but I don't think they will. I am actually expecting SNES games. And I think those would be a lot of fun, because I want to play, like, Super Mario Kart Online. Like, these are the games that have the online features I'd be excited to play with my friends with, as opposed to NES games, which aren't terribly exciting in general, so...
Yeah, I've not touched the online component since launch. I have not played an NES game with anyone else since the service went live.
Same.
And the technology actually seemed to work pretty well for the most part, so it really would be a great fit for the SNES. But do you think they'll add any other features? Will they expand the service at all, or do you think what we have is it?
For the most part, what we have is it, but I do think they might incorporate some kind of messaging system, like maybe something like Swap Notes, but built into the system. Because right now, you have no way to communicate with anyone on your friends list. Like, you can't talk to them, you can't send messages to them. I feel like that's just a very basic online thing that they're missing, and it shouldn't be that hard to incorporate.
Yeah, I can maybe see something like that, but also I don't expect any major changes to the service other than what they might offer as far as online games. Maybe more discounts or something like that. I honestly have no idea, but I just don't see Nintendo changing it up too much, because they almost sounded proud when they were like saying, like, don't worry, when it comes out you'll know why we took so long, or something like that. I was like, really?
Yeah, not really.
Really?
We spent all this time lowering the price for it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see, like, if they're adding stuff, it's going to raise the price, and I think they know they can't raise the price or anything like that yet. So
it's been a while since we've had a major Switch OS update, I feel like. So I feel like one's on the way. And when that's coming, or when that comes, I think it'll bring a few new online features too. Maybe finally flesh out the friend list, like being able to send proper game invites. Like, it's so weird to me that I can see my friends playing online, but I can't do anything with that information. Like, I can hit them up, through Discord or text them or something, but there's nothing on the Switch I can really do with that information. I can't send them an invite, I can't instantly join their game, which is something you can do on past platforms. So I think it's possible they may expand that with an OS update, allow you to do more of that. So I guess they could, upgrade it in that sense, add some basic new features that really don't, rock the boat too much, but would be, nice for quality of life.
And there's also the aspect of special offers. Like, the only special offer right now is the NES controllers, and that's literally it. We have no idea what else they might do. What do you think they are? Like, what else can we get? Do you think we get more physical rewards, or will they start doing digital ones as well?
I couldn't tell you because I haven't even done the NES rewards because I just don't play those NES games enough. So why would I buy
physical ones?
You pay for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, if the NES controller is anything to go by, I don't care about more physical rewards. $60 for 2 NES controllers that work with a very limited selection of games isn't exciting. That feels a little bit like a money grab almost. I mean, even if the controllers themselves are well built, I'm not going to use them often at all. So I think digital rewards is a way to go, and especially because that's something they've explored before already during the Wii and Wii U eras. Like, do you remember that Punch-Out exclusive game they had for Nintendo Club members?
Yeah, we fight Doc Lewis.
Doc Lewis's Punch-Out, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, do little stuff like that, little like bonus limited time things, perhaps. I don't know, something that is exciting to talk about and to engage with, or like secondary content in games, like free DLC expansions maybe, of a smaller scale. I don't know. Just anything of that nature could be really fun. So,
yeah.
Or like or more demos. Like, what if as a Switch Online subscriber, you got early access to like some of the demos we're playing at E3? Like, how cool would that be if you could play like the next Mario Kart or something?
Yeah, that'd be exciting. That people would definitely enjoy that.
Lots of Switch games also work around costumes, like Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade Mario Tennis. Do some like very small costumes exclusive for subscribers.
I think that would work out well too. Just something, because there's just nothing. Like, I'll keep paying for it, but it's not exciting. It's just, well, I need this service.
And then again, there is that aspect. Like, maybe they realize that, and they realize people are just going to keep paying for it. So why get better?
Yeah,
indeed. Yeah, that's true. All right, let's go ahead and talk about, I guess, maybe some of our predictions or some other games that may be coming that that haven't been confirmed or we haven't heard much about in some time. So first up, right off the bat, is Pikmin 4. Are we finally going to see it this year?
I don't know.
Yeah. There's always part of me that makes me think, like, what if Pikmin 4 was just Hey Pikmin? What if that was the mysterious Pikmin game he was alluding to? I mean, there is no Pikmin 4.
Right.
I want it to be this year. I feel like this year's going to have a lot of surprises. Whether it would be called Pikmin 4 as well is another question. Maybe they'll take another, like, a unique stab at the series. Maybe it's not a strategy game anymore. I don't know what they'll do. I kind of hope it's a traditional Pikmin game, but there's so many question marks for this entry.
I still want my tower defense Pikmin game where you gather resources during the day, build your fort at night, and protect it from the invading enemies. So,
yeah, do that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be cool.
How about a Pikmin 3 port? Do you think that's possible?
I think that's a lot more possible.
Agreed. Yeah, maybe even a trilogy. That'd be cool.
Ooh, that'd be really good.
That would be the way to do it. But based on New Super Mario Bros. U, I'm not sure they'll go that route.
That's a good point. Yeah, there's been no Wii U port yet that compiles, other games. I guess Bayonetta, but that was already a compilation. So.
Well, and you could buy them individually too. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, moving on. Here's another game, or maybe two. I don't know. This is a weird one. Retro. What is Retro working on? And is it Star Fox Grand Prix? Is that one of the games? Are we finally going to see that this year if it exists? Or if not, are we going to see what Retro's working on at all? If they're working on anything. Who knows what's up with them at this point?
Like, I want to say that we'll see Retro's game this year, but that seems like a bad bet.
I don't know. That's been a bet for like 5 years now.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Half a decade.
Eventually.
And the only game we've seen from them was Tropical Freeze with Funky Kong. That's the only new thing we've seen from them since the original Tropical Freeze.
I mean, that Funky Kong takes a long time to make, man.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, that was all hands on for that development. So
yeah, I do kind of feel like at least one of the games is probably Star Fox Grand Prix. And it's kind of a funny rumor because we've had nothing really backing that up, but we all believed it. Like, as soon as we heard that rumor, everyone was just like, "Yep, it's true." I kind of believe that's coming, and it was. I think the rumor happened just before E3, and it didn't appear at E3, but it still didn't really diminish our hopes that this game exists. So I feel like that's coming this year, even though nothing really backs that up. But I do feel like it's coming.
I mean, I feel like whatever Retro's working on, this kind of has to be the time. But then again, I would have said that in years 4 and 5 as well. But I also agree that I hope it's Star Fox Grand Prix. I like the idea. I like the idea of a Star Fox racing game. And it could be just what Star Fox needs to kind of like reboot itself. Especially after Starlink apparently doing nothing, really. So... that, yeah, I mean, I want to see what that game looks like, and it could be a nice way to fill the gap, until the next true Mario Kart, besides Mario Kart Mobile, or Tour, rather.
Wait, you don't think F-Zero is going to come out this year?
No 3DS.
Oh, God. F-Zero export.
I don't doubt it. I think it can happen.
That one still look pretty good, so, I mean, that could work.
I've already seen people talking about how 2019 is I think it's the 20th anniversary of Mother 3. We're not getting it. Let's be honest. We're not going to get Mother 3.
I don't think that's ever coming now. I've given up hope on it, so...
Though I do feel like Grand Prix might not be Retro's only game. I say that because it's been so long since Tropical Freeze. I just wonder, like, would their entire team be working on Star Fox Grand Prix for this long? Or are they split off into different teams working on 2 different projects?
I mean, maybe that would explain why it's taken so long, because I don't think they're a huge company, and they've typically, as far as I know, only really worked on one major project at a time. So maybe that would explain why it's taken so long, because they're working with like half the staff on each game.
Right.
I mean, I hope so. Like, I personally would love a third Donkey Kong Country game from them. Yeah. I would be totally on board with that. Especially they bring in K. Rool now after his newfound, fame from Smash Brothers. So
this is the time to bring K. Rool back. There's never been a better time.
Indeed. Okay, what else do you guys expect or hope for from the Switch this year in terms of first-party games? So far, it seems like Nintendo has a pretty stacked lineup. You yourselves, I think, said that you think most of those games will release in the first half of the year, excepting, I think, maybe Pokemon and Metroid Prime, perhaps. So what else are you hoping might be coming from Nintendo down the line here?
I think it's time for another 2D Zelda.
Yeah,
Link Between Worlds was a while ago now. That was, 2013? And now we're in 2019. So I think it's time. And, the Breath of the Wild team released Breath of the Wild 2 years ago now. Almost 2 years ago. In 2 months it'd be 2 years ago. So maybe even they're working on something. Regardless of what it is, I think we are going to get a Zelda. And fingers crossed that it's a new 2D one.
I would love to see
what they
do. Like, it could look so gorgeous. I want to see what it would look like on the Switch.
Well, Force Wars Adventure Adventures on GameCube already looked great for a 2D Zelda. Like, it took the 16-bit style of Link to the Past and just, like, layered on some new cool visual effects, and I'd be fine if they pursued something of that nature, although, something like closer to Link Between Worlds would work as well. I've said this before, I actually hope they go the cooperative route again, but this time for 2 players. They've done 4 players, they've done 3 players, it's time for 2. It's perfect on the Switch with its 2 Joy-Cons built in. You can just hand one to your friend, you can start playing through the game together. And I think that would also work if you're playing single player as well. You could use a right control stick to control the second character, and maybe make it so they're invulnerable or something, so you don't have to worry about dodging attacks as both players. But I think they can make it work so you can play basically the same game, whether you're playing by yourself or with a second player. Which is something that didn't really work too well in past games.
If you keep the controls simple enough, you can just set it up like a Mario and Luigi situation where you just have the players follow like that, and just you have different buttons for each of them. Like use second players' items with this button.
Bear with me here. What if we have a traditional single-player Zelda game, and then there's a separate mode which is co-op, and it happens it happens at the same time as a single-player adventure, and they're 2 very distinct stories happening in the same world. And the co-op story is able to influence the world of the single-player story.
Oh, man.
So you can, as 2 players, you can open up parts of the single-player world which are otherwise inaccessible. And these are just bonus places, like you never need to go there in the core story. But if you open them up, you can find bonus dungeons or something like that, or just something that benefits the main campaign as well. So that way we're getting a traditional single-player Zelda, and a co-op one that makes the whole game more important as well.
That is kind of genius. I love that idea, and it reminds me a little bit of how Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons worked, where the 2 games had some interplay where depending on which one you played first, it would affect the other game. That is kind of awesome. If that somehow ends up being true, John, I'll just bow down to you.
Main campaign, you're Link. The co-op campaign, you're Zelda and Impa.
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah, we can finally get a female Zelda protagonist.
Or no,
that's right.
Canonize Linkle and have her work with Zelda.
Oh, yeah, do that.
Hey, I'd be down for that. Yeah, that'd be neat. I guess maybe the single player could be more puzzle focused. The multiplayer could be more, action based, perhaps. Because I feel like Triforce Heroes went a little bit too heavy on the puzzle element, especially once you beat them. There was no incentive to go back and replay them. Once you solved those puzzles, there was really nothing else to do. So I kind of hope they find a better balance for a multiplayer sequel if they are going that route. And I think they will, honestly, on Switch. I think they'll find some way to make 2D Zelda feel fresh and new. I think that would be the way to do it. So, having 2 players at the least. Going John's route would be awesome.
I honestly could see a Paper Mario remake, whether the original or Thousand Year Door on the Switch. Especially since it'd be good to work on while Intelligent Systems is working on Fire Emblem Three Houses, since they're also the developers of the Paper Mario series. So maybe have that, and that'll allow Nintendo to gauge interest in the Paper Mario series as a traditional game and see how well that does, and go from there. Maybe they'll do Color Splash instead, but I'm hoping they'll choose either the original or Thousand Year Door and have a remake of that and see what people think, and maybe get that back in rotation or something like that, especially since they declared a while ago that they wanted to do something different with the Paper Mario series, since they already had a Mario RPG in the form of Mario and Luigi. But since they're not really doing much with the Mario and Luigi series, and that series is not really doing that great as far as I can tell, enough I guess that I can get these remakes, but I feel like Paper Mario just has a bigger draw at this point.
It would be cool something like Paper Mario Thousand Year Door plus Shadow Queen's Minions.
Oh god.
That is the pointless side mode.
Oh my god.
I like that idea though, Derek. I think it's probably time for another Paper Mario. Color Splash was 2016, 3 years ago, and it was a beautiful game. They can reuse those assets and quite easily build a Switch game out of it. I'd like for them to go back to their roots and have either a brand new RPG or remake one of the first two, because those are the ones that people care about. And, Sticker Star is the best-selling game in the series, but I don't think Nintendo think that is what the series should be. I think they've learned their lesson, that people do not want that game again.
Let's hope. We can only hope. Now, there was some news that came out this past year about how the Wave Race producer teased the series' possible return on Nintendo Switch. This was back in April. Do you think that is something we possibly see in 2019?
That would be an awesome summer game.
Wouldn't it?
Good. Do you think that is more likely than F-Zero?
Yes.
I do. Yeah, actually, I think
I
it
agree
is.
with you guys.
And you know what? At this point, I actually would probably prefer Wave Race. I want F-Zero as well, but between the two, I think Wave Race actually would be a little bit more exciting for me.
I can imagine how it would work with HD Rumble as well, and just sort of feeling the waves going through the controllers.
Yes! That's why it excites me. And also, they could even use the Labo motorbike controller again for it. Get the rumble throughout the whole thing. Yeah,
That'd be so cool.
yes, it would.
Though don't use that in the water though, because otherwise your Labo's just going to melt.
That would be bad.
Yeah, Wave Race for the summer, bring back 1080 snowboarding for the winter.
There we go. Alright guys, anything else you hope to see or expect to see?
This probably isn't directly connected to Nintendo, but they do own the franchise, which is Fatal Frame. Maiden of Blackwater came out on the Wii U, and I would like to see that ported to Switch at the very least. And at the most, I'd like a new game. It's a very niche series, not that many people are really that interested in it. But it's the kind of game that I think completes the Switch's library, like having a nice horror game on there. We don't really have many horror games on Switch at the moment. And seeing as Nintendo own the franchise, you'd think this would be something they would like to at least get out there. Like, at least a port, at the very least.
Yeah, I think another cool idea, especially with the whole Atlas connection now, thanks to Joker and Smash, maybe this will be the year we get Tokyo Mirage Sessions ported.
I'd like that too. It was a great game. It really was. It was, if you like Persona or Shin Megami Tensei, obviously it's a different tone. They've gone very lighthearted, but the actual combat and dungeon design is some of Atlas's best stuff. And if they did a port, I'd be very happy, because the game didn't sell particularly well. And they could probably even localize it better, because the game didn't have voice acting. It was just Japanese voice acting with English text. So maybe get some dub in a Switch port.
That'd be nice. I don't know if they'll go that far because with all that, but I hope for at least more translations, because it always annoyed me when I was playing it that they'd have these battle quotes and I have no idea what they're saying because there's no translations for the battle quotes.
Yeah, that was annoying. Yeah, so there's definitely aspects to improve upon there. And, you know, with Fire Emblem coming out on the Switch this year, it's kind of the perfect time to get more Fire Emblem games on Switch.
That's true.
I think Nintendo need to go down on Xenoblade a lot more. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 sold really, really well, and it's time to either port more of them or start shaking hands with Bandai Namco and get the Xenosaga games on there too. Because in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 there was a blade from Xenosaga.
2 blades from Xenosaga.
Right, yeah. So it feels like the connection between those two companies regarding the IP is pretty strong. And there was some Xenosaga content in Project X Zone as well. So it doesn't feel impossible. And I think Xenoblade fans really want to play Xenosaga. I don't think that many of them really have had a chance to. Especially seeming as there was no Nintendo version, apart from the Japan exclusive DS version. But, you know, that's not really... it's not really part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I can see one of the Xenoblade games before Xenosaga.
Which one, though? Xenoblade Chronicles 1 or X?
They're talking about the money, like the budget is the big reason they said X it would be hard to port. So, but I can't imagine the original being that much cheaper. But I think because of the love of the series and all that, I still think original Chronicles has a better chance of getting a remake on Switch.
I'm no game designer, but I'd probably say that X is, if anything, cheaper to port, because you don't have to redo all the assets in HD, whereas with the original Chronicles, you have to redo the textures.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
All right, I've got two more big predictions, both Mario. Actually, only one's really big. So the first Mario prediction is we'll get another Mario sports game this year.
I'm thinking Strikers.
Mario Strikers would be awesome. I think that's a great fit for the Switch too. It kind of feels like Smash Brothers, but in soccer form. So that would be amazing. I just don't know if Next Level has the bandwidth to produce a sequel, though they don't necessarily have to be the ones making it as well. But I do think we'll get another Mario sports title of some kind. Maybe a brand new sport even would be fun. Mario American Football or something.
That sounds very marketable to an international audience.
Doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
I do feel like Strikers is probably more likely than Golf. I think Golf is likely as well, but Strikers just lends itself so well to two Joy-Con. Whereas Golf is, it's turn-based. You can't really... It's not as marketable as a multiplayer game.
That is true. Yeah, I agree with that. And then beyond that, I actually think there is a chance we'll see a new 3D Mario this year, like a Galaxy 2, only with Odyssey. So we'll see new levels, a whole. Basically, I think it could be a standalone game, maybe a DLC standalone game, in the same vein as the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC. That perhaps isn't quite as expansive as the original, but is expansive enough that it can stand on its own. 5 new worlds, hundreds of new moves to find, brand new assets. I think that there's a chance it could be a holiday release.
I think I agree with you.
Oh, really? All right.
I would say I would hold that off until next year. If we're not going to get a new 3D Zelda this year, I don't think we're going to get a new Mario this year. I
don't know. I think we were all expecting DLC, so I think this is just kind of like DLC but bundled in the game form. They can reuse some of the existing assets, so it's not all new. I take that back. They can reuse some of the existing ones, but mix in enough new content to make it stand alone as its own thing.
How much of a difference was there between Galaxy 1 and 2?
Was it 3 years?
I think it was 3 years.
Then I think we're still a year off.
Maybe. I don't know. I kind of agree with Andre that their sequel seems likely this year.
Sweet.
Yeah, they can quite easily flip the assets and put out a new game, and we don't really know how long Odyssey was done for. For all we know, Odyssey was basically, it could have been complete when they announced it. They're just polishing it up since then. So they might have been working on a sequel even before it came out, potentially. But yeah, I do think it needs a hook, because Galaxy 2 had Yoshi as its hook. Even though that game could have stood on its own with how many levels it had. But I think Odyssey 2 needs something that just makes it shout as a sequel. What do you put into this game that makes it say I am my own distinct game and not just DLC?
Co-op.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, maybe
you bring in the Princess Peach version of Cappy, and you play as Peach even in her traveling outfits.
See, I was gonna say Super Peach Odyssey, but co-op works too.
Oh, if they sold a Super Peach Odyssey, that would be huge. I think.
Yeah, I think that is the hook. Princess Peach and Tiara just going around the world. That is I'll be all for that.
I love this. I actually love this idea so much, but that would be the perfect excuse to either reuse existing levels, but with some changes, or reuse those assets in in new level themes or new level ideas. Oh man, this is that would be fun. That would be neat.
It could be like Captain Toad, where they reuse 3D World levels, but not all of them, and they're sort of altered to an extent. So like we might have, let's say, like New Donk City might return, but maybe it's been a few years, and maybe things have changed there.
Right.
And like we'll still have, like the main twist would still be like brand new levels, but just sort of like touch up some of the older ones. You know how like you found Peach in Odyssey? Like maybe like you find Mario around the world somewhere.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. And that brings us to the end of part 2 of Nintendo in 2019. But we're still not done, because we'll be back in part 3 to answer your questions about more thoughts on Nintendo in 2019, including the potential of a Nintendo Switch hardware revision, as well as an N64 Classic, and tons more. So stay tuned for that, and we'll catch you later.